After Emperor Yang of Sui had dealt with the Tu Yuhuan threat in the northwest, he could finally breathe a little. But in the northeast, there was still a powerful local kingdom, Goguryeo. Once founded, Goguryeo expanded rapidly, controlling the northern part of the Korean peninsula and connecting with the northern border of China's central plains. When the Sui dynasty unified China under Emperor Wen, Goguryeo was initially obedient, sending envoys and tribute every year. But once Emperor Yang took the throne, Goguryeo refused to bow, reject vassal status, and stopped sending tribute. Naturally, an eastern campaign against Goguryeo was now on the agenda. So why did Sui want to invade Goguryeo? Three main reasons. First, unlike the nomads like Tu Yuhuan or Turks, Goguryeo was a civilized agricultural kingdom that influenced other northern eastern tribes, a mini China in the northeast. If it grew stronger, it could become a serious threat. Think of how the Qing dynasty emerged 1,000 years later. Second, since Goguryeo was mainly farming-based and civilized, Sui ministers figured that absorbing it into the Sui territory would be relatively easy. Third, the core territory of Goguryeo was once part of China during the Han dynasty, so it was rightfully in Sui eyes. Emperor Yang, an ambitious guy, really wanted to bring Goguryeo under Sui control and create a grand achievement. So in 609, the Yangdi Canal was completed, part of the northeast section of the Great Canal, solving the logistical nightmare of sending supplies north. By the next year, Emperor Yang launched a nationwide draft, assembling troops in Zhuo County. 2 years later, the total army reached 1,133,800 soldiers. This was by far the largest army in Chinese history. Some people doubted the number, thinking that less than 500,000 were actual soldiers, and the rest were likely laborers. By 612, after a few years of prep, Emperor Yang was finally ready to deal with Goguryeo. On the second day of the first month, he led an army of over 1.1 million, though he told the world it was 2 million, and set off. The army was split into 2 wings, 12 armies each, totaling 24 armies. Moving them all from Zhuo County to the front line took 40 days. When King Goguryeo of Goguryeo heard about the Sui invasion, he quickly pulled his forces east of the Liao River. On March 14, the Sui army reached the river, only to find it fully thawed. So Emperor Yang ordered 3 massive bridges to be built. Once the bridges were ready, the Sui army broke through Goguryeo river defenses and started attacking cities east of the Liao. But progress was painfully slow. One city in Liaodong held off hundreds of thousands of Sui soldiers for months. A big reason? Emperor Yang himself. Before the campaign, he had ordered that all battle plans had to be reported to him first, and nothing could be done without his permission. Not exactly the smartest military strategy, which gave Goguryeo plenty of time to prepare counterattack. Meanwhile, the navy ran into trouble too. In June, General Lai Hua led the fleet from Donglai County to the Korean peninsula, heading upriver along what's now the Datong River, aiming straight for Pyongyang, the Goguryeo capital. Lai Hua led 40,000 elite troops. King Goguryeo saw that only the marine forces had arrived, without the main army, so he set up an ambush in the city, then sent troops out to fake a retreat. Lai Hua's 40,000 marched in, started looting, and completely scattered their formation. Suddenly, Goguryeo hidden forces struck, catching the Sui off guard. Only a few thousand survived, and Lai had to retreat his fleet back to the sea. Even though both army and the navy were struggling, Emperor Yang wasn't about to give up. With a million-strong force, he figured he could just flood Pyongyang with sheer numbers. So he planned a rapid strike. leaving some troops to continue the siege of Liaodong. He sent General Yu Wenshu and Yu Zhongwen with 300,000 soldiers across Yalu River, straight to Pyongyang. But logistics became a nightmare. After crossing the river, supply lines stretched thin, and Goguryeo constantly ambushed the supply units. The navy couldn't support the inland operation. To solve this, Emperor Yang ordered every soldier to carry 100 days' worth of rations, plus weapons, armor, tents, you name it. Each soldier ended up holding 240 kilograms. For comparison, modern special forces carried at most 80 kilograms. Yeah, one guy was basically 3 special forces rolled into one. Impossible. Unsurprisingly, many soldiers abandoned their supplies. Emperor Yang ordered execution for anyone who tossed ration carelessly. So the troops started digging holes to secretly bury what they couldn't carry. Halfway to the front line, they ran out of food. But as the old saying goes, the camel that dies is bigger than the horse. Even starving, the sheer size of the Sui army made it formidable. And both Yu Wenshu and Yu Zhongwen were seasoned commanders. Goguryeo's top general Yi Wende decided to play smart. He pretended to surrender and visited the Sui camp to check things out. Seeing the Sui soldiers pale and hungry, he realized the Sui couldn't last a long campaign. So Yi Wende used a classic bait and trap tactic, luring the army deeper and stretching their supply lines. In a single day, Goguryeo ambushed and routed the Sui army 7 times, drawing land to the Qingchuan River, just 15 kilometers from Pyongyang. Yi Wende had secretly built a dam upstream and stored water. When the Sui tried crossing, he opened the dam gates, sweeping away scattered soldiers, while hidden troops attacked from all sides. Total chaos. The Sui army was utterly defeated. They fled for 225 kilometers over 1 day and a night, back to Yalu River. Of the original 300,000 troops, only 2,700 made it back. All the military supplies were gone too. Imagine this, the Sui sent an unprecedented mega army to crush a small remote kingdom, and instead, they lost their core forces. Embarrassing doesn't even begin to cover it. Emperor Yang flew into a rage and demoted the 2 generals to commoners, pinning the blame squarely on them. But no matter how you throw the blame around, the campaign couldn't continue. So on July 25, the Sui army retreated from Liaoxi, marking the end of Emperor Yang's first expedition against Goguryeo. The next year, 630, Emperor Yang tried a second invasion. He finally scored a few wins, but suddenly heard that Yang Shu's son Yang Xuangang had rebelled in Henan. Emperor Yang rushed back to put down the rebellion, and the second Goguryeo campaign fizzled out. After putting down the rebellion, Emperor Yang couldn't stop thinking about Goguryeo. Come March of the following year, he arrived at Zhuo County, calling up troops for yet another round. But most soldiers didn't show up on time, and a bunch ran away halfway there. Even so, Emperor Yang still managed to gather an army and broke through Goguryeo's Liao River defenses. The navy under Lai Hua even reached near Pyongyang again. Finally, King Gaoyuan of Goguryeo surrendered, acknowledging the Sui emperor. By this point, Emperor Yang was too drained to keep pushing forward, so he had no choice but to retreat, humble and beaten. Now let's talk about the real cost. For these 3 campaigns against Goguryeo, over 3 million peasants were dragged into military and labor service. Most were prime-age farmlands, the backbones of agriculture. With them gone, vast tracts of farmland lay untended, crops rotted, and famine loomed. Those forced to haul full supply day and night, many collapsed and died from exhaustion. Shipbuilders at Donglai County worked like a maniac in freezing waters. Their legs below the waist rotted and swarmed with maggots. Out of 10 workers, 3 or 4 would die. And of course, corrupt officials couldn't resist making a quick buck. The court ordered supply to be collected. The official would first buy everything at low prices, then announce the collection, forcing peasants to pay high prices to get supplies back. This shady scheme let them pocket tens of times the profit, while ordinary people suffered in silence. Fed up and desperate, the oppressed peasant finally rose up. This triggered the massive Sui End uprising that eventually swallowed the dynasty. Yet, in this chaotic state, Emperor Yang still dreamed of a fourth Goguryeo expedition, completely oblivious to his looming doom. So, how did a once mighty Sui dynasty suddenly collapse in a tidal wave of peasant uprisings? Well, that story is for the next time.